Hey, wait a minute. If in a heterosexual relationship, if she earns 3 times as much as he does, it's all nice to say like, oh yeah, like kumbaya, everything's great. Okay, who's doing the laundry? Who's cooking? Who's waking up when the baby's crying? These are real questions.
Speaking of playing big, let's talk about breadwinners, and let's talk specifically about when women are the breadwinners in relationships. I know from research from my book, you might have found this for yours too. In heteronormative relationships, there was a study done that in census data, if the woman made more than the man, the woman would lie and say she made less, and the man would say, no, I made more, and lie as well. So can we talk about some of what's going on when both from the invisible script, patriarchal norm of it all, but also like actionably, how do we navigate, especially when a woman is the breadwinner in a heteronormative relationship?
Well, it's happening more and more commonly. In major cities, women in their 20s earn more than men. And a lot of people don't know that. It's happening more and more. And that presents a series of troubling, fascinating challenges and opportunities. My view, there's so many ways we can analyze what is going on. What I look at primarily is there has never been a model for this before now. Of course, there were exceptions in the past, but in general, for a variety of reasons, men earned more. But that's changing, and it's changing fast. And so when you are experiencing a sociological difference in incomes, gender roles, expectations, career paths, family planning, boy, it becomes very confusing to men and women alike. Now, we can't lean back on past history. That's part of what the murkiness of today is. In the past, if you look at a quote, traditional family structure, it was like, okay, dad goes to work, mom stays home, 2.5 kids and a white picket fence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
It was a clear model. And if there's one thing masses of people like, it's a clear model. Tell me what to do. Oh, I should buy a car and a house to be successful. Cool, I'll get a dog too. But suddenly you have people getting married later, et cetera. So I work on an individual level. Although I studied sociology, I work with individuals. And my question always for them is, what's your rich life? What does it look like for you? And I spend a lot of time with people, hours and hours when I talk to them, because this is a very hard question. How can you ask somebody what your rich life is when the largest extent they've really thought about it is like, I want to travel.
Right.
And now I'm asking them like, hey, wait a minute. If in a heterosexual relationship, if she earns 3 times as much as he does, it's all nice to say like, oh yeah, like kumbaya, everything's great. Okay, who's doing the laundry? Who's cooking? Who's waking up when the baby's crying? These are real questions. And I don't mind if the couple goes, you know what? She makes more, but we've decided we prefer this type of traditional, quote, traditional relationship. Okay, as long as you talk about it and it's fair to you, cool. But most couples don't talk about it. They actually don't talk about it, even though one partner, in the example I'm using, she's earning 2-3 times more. And that is actually the worst of all worlds. How can she be earning 3 times more? You don't talk about it at all. And suddenly she's waking up every night and doing the laundry. It actually doesn't make any sense unless you talked about it. So it is critical for couples to start the conversational muscle from as early as possible. Start talking about it when you're dating. You don't have to talk about every little last thing, but hey, how would you feel if this? Do you want to live on a farm? No, I want to live in a high rise. What if one of us got injured? Do we expect our parents to live with us? Again, you don't have to have the right answers. You just have to be able to flex the muscle of talking about it. Life is going to be infinitely challenging with its varied situations that it confronts you with. Somebody will get laid off. Somebody will get in a car accident. If you've built up that muscle of talking about it and realizing we're a team, sometimes one of us is going to be in the lead, sometimes another's going to be in the lead, realizing that the lead doesn't only relate to money, but overall relationship contributions, then we can find a way to work together in our relationship.
Can you speak about resentment when one person is the breadwinner?
I see it a lot. I ask couples a lot, how do you feel about money? And I will say, I want to spend a second speaking to the gentlemen listening today. I know you have a lot of women listening, but I also know you have a lot of men. When I've spoken to couples, even when I was on tour recently, I brought couples up live on stage. And these are not actors. These are real people. I only know a teeny bit about them. And it all unfolds live in front of a huge audience. And very often, I was speaking to men and I would ask them, how do you feel? And they would say, well, I think it's, I think we can do this. I say, hold on a second. My question was, how do you feel? And they're startled. This is me. This was me at age 22. If you asked 22-year-old Ramit, how do you feel about X? I would have instantly said, well, I think it's about blah, 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 blah. I had no ability to tap into my feelings. I was raised an Indian guy. We didn't talk about feelings, especially not for Indian boys. And that is true of a lot of men, especially in certain cultures. And so I'll ask the audience, hey, how many men in here struggle to connect to your feelings? Like at least 50% of men raise their hand.
Yeah.
It is really hard to build the skill of tapping into your feelings. I'm not talking about just for men, I'm talking about for everybody. My wife and I, we've seen a therapist. She actually gave us something called the Wheel of Emotions. It's fucking awesome. I needed it. I need it like a beginning wine taster needs that little wheel of oaky, whatever. I needed it because, well, I'm going to tell you something. This just happened. My book came out, got on the New York Times bestseller list. And she calls me, well, we talked, and she goes, oh my God, it's amazing. Da, da, da. I was on tour. She goes, how do you feel? And I was like, good. And she literally said,
not an emotion.
I know. And I mean, I've been working on this for like 20 years. Oh. And that was my natural reaction. She called me on it too. She goes, listen, you're not allowed to say good. Give me another word. And I was like, I really wish I had my wheel of emotions. So I share all of this to say, I know how hard it is to talk about feelings. Yeah, especially for men, but for everybody, because so many times either we don't have access to our feelings or our feelings around money are all negative. I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm anxious. I'm overwhelmed. I'm ashamed. In relationships, too often we do this thing where most of the time we feel bad about money. But when we start talking about it on those rare moments where we talk about it, suddenly we turn into like spreadsheet analysts. Hey, look at this number. The $4.50 actually doesn't reconcile over there. It would be much better to say, you know what? I have some questions about some of our spending, but I actually don't want to talk about that today. Actually, I'm just so excited to get a chance to talk to you about money. And I'm actually going to share how to have your first positive conversation about money now. Whether you're dating or you're married 30 years, you can use this. You start off and it's 4 parts. It's very simple. You go, hey, I'm so excited we get a chance to talk about money. I realize in the past when we've talked about money, it hasn't really gone the way I wanted to. I think sometimes maybe I'm a little overbearing, but I'm excited because I want to do this together. Part 1 is just you pinning it to the North Star and maybe even acknowledging with a little vulnerability something you are not the best at. Part 2, right now when we talk about money, I feel worried. I feel anxious. I feel alone. How about you? What I'm doing there is I'm talking about my feelings, but then I'm also engaging my partner. I want it to be a discussion, not a monologue. Part 3, when I think about money, I want to feel calm, confident, connected. How about you? And your partner shares what they know. And part 4, so simple. You just say, hey, when should we talk next? That's it. Give each other a big old hug and a big kiss and call it a day. You don't need to be talking about your freaking estate plan. Not on the first conversation. Just have fun. Give each other a hug. Good job, babe. High five. And that's it. That is how we start to feel good about money.
I think it was Terry Crews who talked about when he was training people one-on-one, like doing, fitness training. He would have them drive to the gym every day for a week, but not go in. And he's like, I need them to get comfortable, grow the habit of just drive to the gym, You don't even have to leave your car. Just sit in your car and then drive home. And that's kind of what we're doing, which is just like, you're not even talking about money, really. You're talking about how you feel about money. And then once the training wheels are off, once you've gone to the gym and driven to the gym for a week, then we can start to have conversations. But I agree. I think one of the most harmful things you can do is listen to this podcast and go, oh my gosh, I need to go talk to my partner about money. Honey, we don't have a will. We need life insurance. We don't have a retirement plan. We don't know what our rich life is. Like, don't take that away from this episode of just diving into the deep end, because it will not go well.
Yeah. I love what you said. I totally agree. That gym example is so good, by the way.
Isn't that funny? It's so good.
Too often we let our anxieties in our head come out with stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
And you got to stop that. Everybody. I know on the internet these days, no one's being directive. Okay. I am. Ramit Sethi. Stop that. It's actually not helping you. It's making you spin up even more, and it's driving your partner away. Your anxiety may be real, but that is not something for you to dump on your partner.
Yes.
In fact, a much better way is to deal with that on your own. Get mental health help. Get a therapist, read a book, practice, literally record yourself and then listen to it. That's amazing. Try it. But also, when you talk to your partner, you got to remember, ask yourself, how do I want to show up? Okay. Sometimes I even do caricatures with my guests on my show. Like I'll have a guest who's incredibly fearful of money. Every time they talk about it, they're always catastrophizing and asking the worst thing. I go, who's that person? They're sitting on your shoulder. What's their name? And I'll make them give them a name. Catastrophizing Carrie. I go, what's Carrie wearing? And she's like, I get them to really visualize it. She's wearing a tattered shirt. It's like she's not the kind of person you want to take advice from. And then I say, who do you want to take advice from on your other shoulder? And it's, calm Colleen. What is Colleen wearing? A very stylish piece of clothing that appeals to you. How does she look? She takes a deep breath before she answers, and she smiles. And she even acknowledges when she doesn't know something. Calm Colleen isn't expected to know everything, but she will say, you know what? I don't know the answer to that, but let me find out and I'll get back to you. So we have to remember, every time we show up, whether with ourselves or with our partner, we are creating a groove. And over time, that groove calcifies. So if you're always showing up anxious, if you're always worrying about what can go wrong, boy, your partner's probably not going to be drawn to that.
It's like you're reading my mind, because what I was literally going to say is, one, you can't dump your own stuff on your partner. And if I'm an external processor, you got to go do that in therapy. You got to go do that with a friend. You got to go do that somewhere else. And the second thing is something that my therapist, I see my therapist, my partner sees our therapist, and then we see her together. And one of the things she tells us all the time is, you have to bring your best self to this relationship. And I know that sounds so obvious, but you have to decide, what version of me am I going to bring into this conversation? And if it is the one that has not processed any of the external bullshit, that is not your best self in this relationship.